Well, Tony, Cheng is following the Israeli government's reaction from the Jordanian capital Amman for us. And Tony, for now, it seems like the ceasefire is holding, but there have been some accusations from the Lebanese army of violations. Have the Israelis actually given any indications that they plan to respect the ceasefire for the full next 10 days?
Well, the Israeli military has been speaking to army radio on Friday morning and saying, describing how they imagine this is going to work. They say over the next 24 hours, a line of separation is going to be established between themselves and the Lebanese military. After that, they will remain in their fixed positions. However, they maintain they will continue to clear sites that they deem to be Hezbollah infrastructure, and that might well refer to the explosions that Zina was just mentioning there. Also, clearly a concern for civilians returning to areas in which the Israeli military are present. There was a warning in West Galilee early on Friday morning of a missile attack, but the Israeli military said that was just a false alarm. We've seen a number of those in recent days. But we've also heard briefings from the Israeli military who've said over the last week or so that their actions in southern Lebanon have been so effective they've managed to cut off fighters from the ground from communicating with their command centers elsewhere. But at this stage, the fact that the ceasefire was brought into effect so completely after the midnight deadline suggests they are still well able to communicate with commanders in other parts of the country.
And Tony, Israeli troops staying in place, occupying the territory that they've taken. What is the sense in Israel about the ceasefire? I mean, is it a popular move at all?
Well, we've just seen a poll released on the Israel Hayom website, which suggests that 56% of people in Israel believe the army should stay there. That's pretty much consistent with polls we've seen over the past week. But 40% believe the country is worse off in the last 12 months. They also say that the Likud party would lose 2 seats if the elections, which are expected in October later this year, were to happen today. And I think that's a reflection that this is generally perceived to have gone quite poorly for Benjamin Netanyahu, that he has capitulated to Donald Trump and the United States after pressure. And that's something we're seeing reflected in the Israeli media. Pundits from both military and political sources seeing this as a victory for Iran that had made a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon one of their key points to returning to negotiations with the United States. And the Times of Israel says that anger is growing along the northern border over the ceasefire, with residents saying they are paying the price in blood. And that seems pretty reflective of many of the communities in northern Israel who've been under those rockets for the last month and a half. But there is possibly another spin on this. The Jerusalem Post quotes a senior Israeli official saying that this action did very much happen at the behest of Donald Trump. He said that Trump wants this to happen, but this time the US will be more involved, indicating that one of the negotiations for this ceasefire to happen was that the United States might get involved on the ground with disarming Hezbollah, something that has been very difficult for Israel in the past. But he also indicated that within the Israeli government, there's a feeling now that the conditions are much better for a ceasefire than they were in 2024, in part because Hezbollah has been weakened over the fighting of the last 6 weeks. Iran is much more weakened and less able to resupply, but also because Israel remains in large parts of southern Lebanon.
OK, thanks so much for all of that, Tony. Tony Cheng for us there, Al Jazeera correspondent in the Jordanian capital, Amman.